How to make crispy, dry potato chips, crisps. I've tried frying chips a few times, but, even though it's fun and tastes relatively good, they did not turn out like commercial potato chips, such as Lay's. My homemade chips soaked up too much oil, making them slightly too wet, for the lack of a better word. Commercial chips in general are much drier than my homemade chips, and I presume less oil per chip correlates to less calories per chip. So how can I make potato chips that are more like the commercial kind?
I am going to get unscience-y, as I used to make fries for hours on end at a local mom and pop shop. How thin, thick doesn't really matter, you'll just have to adjust your frying time accordingly. 1. Use a starchy potato. 2. Slice your potato evenly, with a peeler if you don't have a slicer or mandolin. 3. Soak them in water for 30 minutes with a pinch of salt. 4. Let them dry a bit. 5. Blanch them with vegetable oil until they are limpy but has no visible color change. Oil should be hot enough that when you put them in, 5 seconds later there are bubbles. 6. Cool them completely. I throw them into a container into the fridge. 7. Refried them by putting in enough pieces in such that it will still bubble immediately. Oil should be hot enough when you drop a spot of water or chopsticks in that it bubble immediately, but you wouldn't hear like a crackling or have oil splashing at you. 8. Take them out one piece at a time as they change color. The key is vegetable. That's pretty much the only oil that makes things crispy at lower frying temperature, other than bacon fat. This makes a much more golden chip, and generally a easier time to control, so you can make more at the same time. Shortening, olive oil, peanut oil, butter, lard has been tested and isn't really good. Sesame oil is good too if you like the taste of it. Also, don't attempt to drain the oil after blanching, the oil will come out when you re-fry them. Salt or season while warm. Kenji Lopez Alt has published one of his magnificent Food Lab articles on the potato chips, see link. 1. With the goal of light-colored potato flavor like his favorite brand, while having the robust crunch of kettle chips. He points out that when fried, potato chips undergo several processes. They dehydrate. Oil enters the empty spaces left by water. Sugars, starches and proteins undergo browning reactions, creating flavor, but too much of this leaves a burned or off-taste. Potato chips are so thin. Alt finds a 1/8 inch, or 0.3 centimeters thickness done on a mandolin for uniformity ideal, that it is difficult to get them crunchy without leaving them also over-browned and bitter. In order to remove extra sugars and starches, to limit browning, Alt recommends the same technique he developed for French fries, blanching in water acidulated with vinegar. They are then dried, and deep fried. The vinegar allows the potatoes to maintain their shape during the blanching. Once blanched, the chips are dried, and then deep fried in a fairly traditional manner. See his recipe, see link. 2. For details, note that the Frito-Lay page, see link. 3. On how they make their own chips indicates a similar technique: thinly sliced potatoes, rinsed to remove extra starch, and then cooked to a crispy crunch in all natural oil, which I take to mean deep fried.